Alright, welcome back to a new video. So in today's video I've actually got something a bit different. At the weekend I got messaged by a friend from high school and she was asking, well actually I'll just read it out for you. She put, "Hello, me and my colleague are making a podcast and the only thing we need now is a jingle." I asked a few questions about the podcast and got back these pictures. I asked what is the sort of style of films that you'll be talking about in the podcast and she replied, "A bit of everything, as the premise of the podcast is to put two drastically different films into one." Now, I'm not too sure exactly what that means, but it sounds quite interesting. I then asked, what is the vibe you want, as well as the length of the jingle? She replied, something maybe R&B, something chill, but if you've got any idea, I'd be more than inclined to go for that. Also, about 10 seconds. So after that interaction, the first few ideas that popped into my head is maybe something kind of John Williams-esque, you know, Star Wars, Superman, that kind of thing. But then I sort of thought about it a bit more and thought that could sound really cringe and sort of American, which I don't really want to go for. And then my second idea was kind of making something sounding a bit 1920s silent film-esque, ragtime piano kind of sounding thing, because that could lend itself to the R&B idea that she had quite well. However, I've never actually made a jingle before, nor do I listen to that many podcasts. So before I do any recording, I'm going to go onto the computer, see what podcasts there are about and what jingles there are, do a bit of research to see what's out there before I actually do recording myself. So I'm going to have a look on Spotify first. I'm going to type in film podcast first just to see if there's any sort of like film podcast jingles and see what's going on there so I can take some inspiration.
Let's get car or van insurance double quick. The Emperor podcast is...
Now for me that was far too intense of an intro for a film podcast, so I'm going to make sure not to do anything like that.
I'm from Yorkshire, like Top 24 clothing, to last like they used to do in the past, me Top 24.
Right, so I've made a few notes. There was some there that I thought were ridiculous, but then there was some other ideas there that I actually really liked. Also, I didn't quite realise how many adverts people were cramming in to the start of the podcast. Like, there were so many. So some of the notes that I made regarding the podcast that I just listened to are, a lot of them seem to be very simplistic sounding, so they're only using about 3 instruments. It might be a bass guitar, piano, and typically the better ones I thought all included like electric drums, which I can do. Some other features of the better ones, I thought they all included like some sort of percussion. A lot of them had vinyl, you know, sort of that scratchy vinyl sound, which I can do on this computer as well. And then I also had the idea, since it's a film podcast, maybe to include some like famous film sound effects, like the one of that guy screaming, you know, it's in Star Wars, it's everywhere. But yeah, I'm going to come up with a chord progression first and then move on from there, slowly adding instruments and seeing what works best. So there's going to be 2 ways I'm going to be recording today. One of the ways is through this red box here. Now this just allows me to plug in an instrument, say a bass or a guitar, and through that it converts the analog signal of the bass guitar into a digital signal, which then goes into the computer and I can record straight onto here. The second way I can record into the computer, and probably what I'm going to be doing most of today, is through this. This is called a MIDI keyboard. Now, alone, it doesn't make any sounds. You can see I'm pressing the buttons and no sound is coming out. That's one, because it hasn't got any speakers, but 2, it's also because the sound isn't kept on here, the sound is on the computer. So if you see this over here, these allow me to select different sounds. So for example, if I wanted an electronic drum kit sound, I just go on here, select a random one, make sure we're in the right section of the keyboard, and then I've got all them sounds. So that's what I'll be using today to make this jingle with. So after some time, I've come up with a chord progression. I'm using a piano to play it, and this is what it sounds like. So yeah, that's the chord progression. I went for something that could have been possibly played in like a 1920s silent film, but my plan is to do a bit of a modern twist on it. I found a couple of sounds here that I like. So this is the one that the piano's being played on. This one's like a real sounding drum kit. And my plan for that is to use it in the intro to do like quite a calm intro, and then I want it to go into a more electric feel, so that's what I've got this electric drum kit sound for. I might be using either a real bass or this upright studio bass sound. And then with this instrument, this is off the Apple loop section, but it was quite a nice sound that I want to incorporate in. Yeah. Oh yeah, and I also have my scream sound effect. Now, I don't know if I'm actually going to use this because it doesn't really work with it, but I've got it in there just in case. So yeah, I'm going to make some music around that chord progression and see what we get. So after a bit of trial and error, this is what I've ended up with. So based on what I've got there, I now want to put some extra sound effects in, maybe like some percussion or some fella shouting action, you know, like they do at the start of movies, just to make it a bit different from everything else out there. Because at the moment it's just sounding a bit like a random beat, but we're trying to make it sound like it could fit at the start of a podcast. So yeah, I'm gonna have a look. So yeah, I found two bits there that I like. The first one is this. It's just some sort of like magical sounding noise. And then there was that click sound that I was messing with. I didn't quite like the rhythm I played initially, but now I've put a bit of delay on it and I've got this. Yeah. So I've added some percussion now inside Logic, so using Logic's sounds, but I just saw this glass sitting here, I had a drumstick lying around, and I quite like that noise, or something like that. So I've just set up this microphone, and I'm going to record into Logic this sound, basically. So yeah, I'm having to put my headphones on, so that the sound coming out the speaker doesn't go back into the microphone. That should be enough for that. This is another piece of percussion I've just got lying around. I probably won't use it in the track, but I'm just going to record it in anyway to see if it works or not. That's a lot harder than it looks. Now that's all I've got time to do today, so I'll quickly play it so you can hear what I've done. But I haven't got any more time today, so I'll be back tomorrow to carry on. Right, so it's the next day now. I've done a bit of work on it this morning, just sort of altering things and tweaking it a little bit. I sent what I had back to the girl for her feedback, and she said she loved it, but maybe she'd want it sounding a bit more jazzy, which is alright because I'm not finished with it yet, and I still want to add bits and pieces. So I'm thinking today I'm probably going to add maybe a guitar or a lead piano or some sort of lead sound. And then I'm probably going to record the bass in. But I thought I had a terrific idea before, because I was messing around with like sound effects and stuff. I was thinking, where can I get some good sound effects from? And then I remembered that I had a vinyl that I picked up ages ago of sound effects from the BBC. So I went upstairs and found it, and this is what it is. Comedy sound effects. Now, that's pretty useless for what I'm trying to do. I was kind of searching for someone shouting action or something like that. So, yeah, unfortunately, I don't think I'll be able to use this today. Fortunately, I managed to find this sound on YouTube, and I'm still waiting for the girls' feedback on it because it's a bit of a bold sort of move, but I really like it. And it's just some fella shouting action when it kind of drops out. So yeah, we'll have to see. I've also done a bit of work on that sound that I recorded in with the microphone, where I was hitting the glass with the drumstick. So this is what I've got now. This was it before. And then through the power of musical plugins, this is what we've got now. So it's a very sort of rhythmic sound that I've got there. Right, so I've been messing around with a few bass parts and I've come up with some stuff that I like. But before I record anything into the computer, it's very important to remember, people of the universe, that you must tune before you record, otherwise it's going to sound rubbish. Right, I'm going to have to do that again because I actually played a bit too loudly there and the computer wasn't ready for it. That'll probably do. So I've recorded in the bass now. I've got a 4-bar loop that I'm very happy with. So now I'm just going to find a sound that will work for like a lead. I'm thinking kind of electric piano at the moment, but we'll see, I'll have a look. So I've just come up with a melody which I think really suits the song. I'm not a keyboard player, so this is probably going to take quite a while, but I'm going to try and record it in. Now the first part of that was good, so I'm going to keep that and I'm just going to do the second bit again. Yeah, I like that. That was sounding pretty cool. So I've got this melody recorded in now, but I can't find the right instrument to use. Like, everything I try just sounds weird. So I'm just going to keep looking, I think, but I've been looking for a good while now. So I've found this instrument now that I think kind of suits it, so here you are, I'll give you a listen. Now, I'm really happy with how this song has come on, and it doesn't really need anything else. However, I would like to add a bit of guitar, so I'm going to do that now. Now, I've got a very sort of simple guitar tone, just sounding like this. Reason for that is I don't want the guitar sort of taking over the track. I need it to be very sort of simple, and the track's already sounding nice enough without anything, so I'm going to make a really simple guitar part and then record it in. Right, so now that's pretty much everything. I don't want to add anything else. It sounds brilliant. I'm dead happy with it. So yeah, that was me making a podcast theme, intro, jingle, call it what you want. But yeah, I'm going to do a bit of mixing on it. By that I mean just setting the levels and sort of making sure everything's where it should be. And then once I've done that, I'll export it and that should be that. But thank you very much for watching and I'll leave you with the music.